This training covers Chapter 21, Adult Meal Pattern Overview, and is presented by the Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs, also known as ODE-CNP. In this training, we will go over the adult meal pattern, the required meal components, and other additional requirements related to the adult meal pattern. By the end of this training, we hope that you will understand what is a reimbursable adult meal and learn the basics of the CACFP adult meal pattern. First, let's define reimbursable meals. Reimbursable meals are meals or snacks that meet the requirements of CACFP and may be reimbursed at the current rate based on meal and program type. In order for a meal to be reimbursable, it needs to meet several factors: be a reimbursable meal type, be within the maximum number of meals, have all required ODE-CNP approvals, and meet the meal pattern. Meals and snacks that are reimbursable include breakfast, AM snack, lunch, PM snack, supper, and evening snacks. All meals and snacks must be approved by ODE and served during the sponsor's operational hours. While sponsors may serve some or all of the meal and snack types, only a minimum of 2 meals and 1 snack or 2 snacks and 1 meal may be claimed for reimbursement per adult participant per day. For example, an adult daycare site that offers breakfast, AM snack, lunch, and PM snack can only claim the breakfast, lunch, and one of the snacks per adult participant each day. ODE-CNP approvals include approvals of the site where meals are served, the meal or snack type served, and the meal times for each meal type. Sponsors can only claim meals that have ODE-CNP approval and are within approved sites and times. All meals must also be served to an eligible participant. For more information on eligible participants, please review the Chapter 21 video, which reviews adult daycare participant eligibility. Let's check in on your knowledge. To be reimbursable, a meal must meet which of the following? Does it have to A, meet meal pattern requirements, B, be at an approved site, C, be served within an approved meal time, or D, both A and B, or E, all of the above? The answer is E, all of the above. In addition to meeting meal pattern requirements, being served at an approved site, and being served within an approved meal time, you will also want to make sure that the meals claimed do not exceed the maximum of 2 meals and 1 snack, that the meal types claimed were approved, and that all participants were eligible to receive meals. Within the CACFP, there are 3 main meal patterns, and all of them are set to meet the standards laid out in the Dietary Guidelines for Americans. This training will focus on the adult meal pattern, which serves adults 60 years old and over, and functionally impaired adults 18 years old and over. This video provides an overview of the requirements specific to the CACFP adult meal pattern. The videos in Chapter 9 will cover the basic meal pattern information that is applicable for all meal patterns. The adult meal pattern is a separate CACFP meal pattern that is specific to programs serving adult participants 18 years of age and older. A copy of this chart is available on the ODE-CNP CACFP meal pattern webpage. Due to the nature and participant eligibility criteria of adult daycare programs, many participants may require that accommodations to this meal pattern be made based on special requests or medical needs. In all meal patterns, there are the same required meal components. Meal components are general food categories that together make up a reimbursable meal. There are 5 different meal components: fluid milk, grain, fruit, vegetable, and meat alternates. The components that are required will be dependent on the meal or snack type that is served. In addition, the food that is served must be creditable to count towards the meal component. We will discuss what creditable means a little later in this training. We want to first understand which meal components are required for each meal type. Breakfast consists of 3 components: a fluid milk, a grain, or a vegetable and/or fruit. Sponsors can choose to substitute a meat or meat alternate for the entire grain component up to 3 times per week. For lunch or supper, the meal pattern will consist of all 5 components. These are fluid milk, grain, fruit, vegetable, and meat alternates. Lunch and supper must include 1 fruit and 1 vegetable or 2 different kinds of vegetables. At supper only, fluid milk is optional and is not required to be served. This flexibility is specific to the adult meal pattern and is not available for programs that serve meals under the other CACFP meal patterns. And finally, for snack, sponsors must serve 2 different components out of the 5 components that are available. Snacks with only 2 food items from the same component group are not reimbursable. For example, a snack made up of only turkey and cheese is not reimbursable. A snack made up only of a banana and apple juice is also not reimbursable. Additionally, only one of the 2 required components for a snack may be a beverage. In the adult meal pattern, the milk type served must be unflavored low-fat 1% or fat-free skim milk or flavored fat-free skim milk. Fluid milk is optional at supper only for adult participants. Yogurt is a meat alternate. However, it can be served in place of milk once per day for adult participants. 6 ounces weight or 3/4 cup volume of yogurt may be used to meet the equivalent 8 ounces of fluid milk once per day when yogurt is not served as a meat alternate in the same meal. Water is recommended to be served at meals or snacks when yogurt is substituted for milk. What does a day's worth of meals look like? It may look something like this: with toast, raspberries, and yogurt at breakfast, with tuna salad, a green salad made of lettuce, tomatoes, and carrots, whole wheat pita bread, red grapes, and milk at lunch, and some cottage cheese and cherry tomatoes with cucumber slices at snack. Adult daycare sponsors are encouraged to help keep adults healthy and hydrated throughout the day by making water available to them upon request. It is not, however, a requirement that water be specifically offered. This differs from the requirement for CACFP programs serving children, which are required to offer water throughout the day. For either program, all drinking water that is offered must meet federal and state requirements. Now that we know what meal components are required for each meal type, we need to also understand that only creditable foods can be counted towards the meal components. Creditable foods are defined as those that can be counted towards meeting the meal pattern requirements due to meeting the nutritional guidelines from the Dietary Guidelines for America. The specific requirements for each component will be covered in the Chapter 9 B through G videos. There are also many resources out there that help to determine creditable foods, such as the USDA CACFP Crediting Handbook and the USDA's Food Buying Guide. Links to both resources are available in the description section below. Non-creditable foods, such as cakes, potato chips, or bacon, must not be served as a part of the reimbursable meal since they do not meet meal pattern. However, these items can be served as a bonus food. It's time for another knowledge check. How many times can a meat or meat alternate substitute for the grain component at breakfast? Is it up to once a week, up to 3 times a week, up to 3 times a month, or never? The answer is up to 3 times a week. Remember that it can only substitute for the grain component and not the fluid milk or fruit and vegetable components. In addition to the meal components, there are some additional requirements for the CACFP meal pattern. These include food safety and sanitation, food preparation and service, parent, guardian, or participant provided components, and meal accommodations. We will go over each of these requirements. Food safety and sanitation is vital to all food service, and CACFP is no different. Sponsors are required to adhere to proper sanitation and health standards for storing, preparing, and serving foods. All state and local laws and regulations related to health and sanitation must be met. Sponsors are not allowed to deep fat fry foods on site due to safety and health reasons. It is also important that sponsors are not using CACFP meals and snacks to punish or reward participants. While it is best practice to encourage participants to eat all foods that are served, sponsor staff must never force a participant to eat. Sometimes, parent or guardians or the participant themselves will want to provide food items to be served for the participant during mealtimes. Parent, guardians, or participants can provide up to one component of a reimbursable meal for themselves or their participant. The food item that is provided must be creditable to count towards the meal. If you have participants with a medical accommodation, then the parent or guardian or participant can provide more than one component, as long as the sponsor provides one component of the meal. It is important to note that parents, guardians, or participants must not be coerced into providing any components if they do not want to. This flexibility is only allowed as a convenience for the parent, guardian, or participant and is not meant for sponsors to offload their responsibility in providing a complete CACFP meal. If parent, guardians, or participants wish to provide more than one component, and this is not due to a medical accommodation, sponsors must not count that meal or snack for reimbursement. So what happens when a family or participant requests a meal accommodation? There are two types of meal accommodations. There are medical accommodations and meal preferences. Medical accommodations are accommodations that are medical or disability related, and sponsors are required to make reasonable accommodations for these types of requests. The medical accommodation must be documented with a medical statement or doctor's note from a state licensed healthcare professional or registered dietitian if it does not meet meal pattern. For medical accommodations only, the meals are reimbursable even if they do not meet meal pattern. The other type of meal accommodation is meal preferences. These include cultural, religious, lifestyle, or other requests. Sponsors can choose whether they want to accommodate or not, but they must be consistent and follow their written policy. You cannot pick and choose which meal preference you will allow. These accommodations can be documented with a meal preference form. In these cases, only meals that meet meal pattern will be reimbursable. For more information on meal accommodations, check out the Meeting Meal Accommodations training. It's time for one last knowledge check. You find out that your staff is requiring participants to bring at least one of their own meal components. What do you do? In this situation, you will want to retrain your staff that participants cannot be required to provide any meal components if they do not volunteer to do so. As a best practice, you will also want to provide them with guidance on when parent, guardian, or participant provided components are appropriate. When you provide training, make sure to document the trainings that were provided. Anytime you find your staff are not following CACFP rules, retraining is always a requirement. While meal service requirements are covered in the trainings for Chapter 10, there are some specific considerations when serving meals to adult participants. First is that adult daycares have the flexibility to serve meals using the offer versus serve meal service style. Offer versus serve, or OVS, is an optional style of meal service that allows participants to decline some of the foods offered in a reimbursable breakfast, lunch, or supper. This meal service method is covered in depth in the Chapter 10 Meal Service and Menu Records Offer versus Serve training. Family style is a type of meal service that allows adults to serve themselves from common platters of food with assistance from supervising adults. Unlike cafeteria lines and pre-plated meals, the family style method gives adults more control over their servings. Because adults are generally used to family style eating, the daycare participants may welcome this method and feel most comfortable when the center chooses to implement this style of service. This meal service method is covered in depth in the Chapter 10 Meal Service and Menu Records Family Style Meal Service training. In this video, we have covered the requirements for a reimbursable meal, the different meal patterns for CACFP, the basics of the meal components, and highlighted additional requirements within the CACFP. There are additional videos on the CACFP meal pattern available. Check out the links in the playlist in the description section below. ODE supports equity and excellence for every learner. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. Thank you for taking this training.